Hi, my name's Alex Bosco.
And I'm Olivia Fuller, and we're the co-producers of The Daily's Double Shot. Thanks so much for tuning in.
In this episode, we work out with ROTC and members of the ASUW to celebrate ROTC's 100th anniversary.
Also in this episode, members of the community get their questions answered by Governor Jay Inslee at the Ask the Governor event on campus.
All this and more on this week's episode of The Daily's Double Shot. I'm Alex Bosco.
I'm Olivia Fuller, and this is The Daily's Double Shot.
Hi, I'm Sydney from The Daily's Double Shot. Last week, we went to the Ask the Governor event at Kane Hall. Check it out to see what you missed.
I'm Kelsey Tomaszewski, Director of Marketing and Communications at KCTS 9. Ask the Governor is a community event and broadcast. This year it is live from Kane Hall, a University of Washington. It's an opportunity to ask your questions directly to the governor and get an answer on the spot. People ask questions that are pressing issues within the community, and they also ask things that they'd like to discuss with a larger audience. This year's Ask the Governor is very special because it's the first time in the show's history that we're taking the show out on the road. So people, instead of coming to our studio, can come to Kane Hall and ask the governor directly, and we're hoping to get a big crowd. We decided to bring Ask the Governor to the University of Washington this year because we really wanted to get the program out in the community and give community members an opportunity to ask their questions directly to the governor. We know that there's a lot of pressing issues and that education in Washington State is one of them. So from that aspect, we thought the University of Washington was a perfect partner and a perfect venue to ask such poignant and pressing questions.
I'm Enrique Cerna, and I am the Director of Community Partnerships here at KCTS 9. I've been moderating Ask the Governor since 1998. That's when Gary Locke was still in office. So I've been moderating this program actually with Gary Locke and Christine Gregoire and now Jay Inslee. We have been receiving a lot of questions, a lot of emails that have been coming in daily, and that'll happen right up to the time that we go on the air. The questions have been very wide-ranging, but perhaps the biggest question that people have been asking is how are we going to fund public education here in the state of Washington in light of the state Supreme Court ruling, the McCleary decision, and also since the lawmakers in Olympia have not met the needs yet or what the state Supreme Court has asked them to do in coming up with a funding plan. And that seems to be the big issue here. People want to know why that hasn't happened, and they also want to know why the governor hasn't called a special session to bring lawmakers back in to solve the problem. But that's right at the top of the list.
Today we're at Kane Hall for the Ask the Governor event, and we're going to take a look at what people's questions are for the governor and for how they feel about the event. Check it out. So what's your question for the governor?
Well, I love to listen to all his ideas for the future, so I don't usually come up with one, but I like hearing what everybody else asked.
I would like to know how he will assist in implementing the education money that was mandated by the legislature.
I'd like to hear whatever he might provide in the way of information on resolving budget issues for education.
I'm very concerned about the fire season we just suffered through this last year. And I know that Goldmark, our state, resources director, I forget his official title, but is concerned that we're going to have another one this next year. And if we're not prepared for it and financially not supporting that, then we're going to be in really deep doo-doo.
I don't have a specific question for the governor, but I would love to hear him talk about education. We're kind of in a quagmire right now with the McCleary decision, what's happened with charter schools in Washington State. And so I'd love to hear him talk about how he, through executive leadership, is really going to see us through this education storm that we're experiencing right now.
My question for the governor is, why aren't we fully funding basic education, that's K-12 education, in this state?
I'm asking him how the state is intending to fund McCleary.
And why do you think this event is important?
We don't get to see national politicians here in our state very much, even though we're a big population area, but we do get to see the locals. And I think this is a really good opportunity to see what our governor, who he really is.
I would like to see more of these kinds of events hosted by KCTS 9 at this location, because then perhaps more young people will become involved.
It means an opportunity to talk to the governor.
I think it's a great opportunity to get this input from the public, and I think it's exciting that he's taking the time to listen to the public.
This event is a great opportunity for us to, the public, to put forth our questions to show the governor what it is that we would like to get done in the next session.
As you saw from the event, public education was a huge issue, so it'll be interesting to see what comes from it.
Hey, I'm Charles, and the Daily flew me out to Arizona to cover the ASU versus UW game. Here are the highlights I made, so check it out.
I'm Alex Britton, and I went down to Seattle's famous gun wall, which was cleaned for the first time in 20 years, to see what people thought about it. Hope you enjoy.
Every year, around 10 million people visit Pike Place Market. One popular tourist spot that has been growing for 20 years is the famous gum wall, but this attraction got a major scrub down on November 10th. This was the first time the wall was completely clean, costing around $4,000 to clean the gum, which was 6 inches thick in some places. The cleaning was necessary to preserve the historic buildings in Pike Place, as the sugar in the gum was dissolving the bricks underneath. But the tradition of putting gum on the wall is expected to continue after the cleaning. I visited Pike Place to talk to locals and tourists about their thoughts on the gum wall.
It's such a landmark in the city, and it's been here for so long and has so many stories to tell. I think it's cool. I think it's really disgusting.
sense. Like it's a cool cultural thing. Like it's like a part of Seattle.
Kind of a part of Seattle, so it kind of feels like they're tearing down history.
After the cleaning, all the gum was weighed, so I asked people how much they thought it would weigh.
I'm gonna go with 201.
I have no idea. I'm going to say 112 pounds.
Then I asked them if they would still continue the tradition of putting gum on the wall after the cleaning.
Probably, yeah. It's just going to come back again. Yeah.
There's no doubt this wall will be covered in gum again before too long, but before it was turned into a clean slate, I added my own gum to the masterpiece.
It is about 8 a.m. on a Friday morning, and ROTC just wrapped up their morning physical training, this time with the ASU Board of Directors. They let the Daily join for an inside look, so let's check it out.
This calendar year is the 100th anniversary of ROTC, the Reserve Officer Training Corps. We thought it'd be like a kind of a good opportunity for the elected representatives on campus to get to know ROTC a little bit better. They're really participating in all the workouts that we've been doing. Like we just watched a couple people do like a buddy carry, which is like pretty hard. I'm super impressed with how enthusiastic they are.
That's so cool.
I was a little nervous. We had to make sure that they were ready to come out here, but they embraced it wholeheartedly and they were ready to get down and do more. We actually had 2 of the board members come to us and say, we want the hardest workout you have today. And we're like, all right, we'll put you in there, but you gotta be ready for it. And they excelled.
I'd say I was pretty excited. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into. But I definitely have a lot of respect for them. It's tough work. They come out at least 3 days a week, every morning at 6:05. Takes a lot of energy and perseverance, I think.
What is the biggest thing that you learned today?
That I need to be in better shape.
Do you think any of them would make the cut to join ROTC based on what you've seen this morning?
I don't know. I think Jessa might be able to join us. She's done well. Abe has absolutely done well. There's a few of them that we might need to do a few more workouts with, but you know what? I'm confident we could get them there.
A lot of people don't realize it, but the University of Washington is actually steeped in history with ROTC. Originally, everyone who went to the University of Washington had to do ROTC.
So why did you join ROTC?
My whole dad's side of was enlisted soldiers, and myself, I wanted to do something bigger. ROTC is a leadership course, and I think it's really brought out some part of me that I didn't think I had. As a contracted cadet, I receive a stipend every month. It ranges from $300 to $500 as you go up the ranks. I also get my tuition paid for. You can choose between your tuition or your room and board. And I think the most I get out of it is the discipline and how it builds character.
I think some of the biggest challenges was 1, waking up really early, 2, coming to campus when it was raining outside and wanting to work out, and then 3, having the motivation to go to class. I think class is the last thing I want to do right now, so I commend them for all their work and what they're doing.
Now that you've gone through the experience, has your perception of ROTC changed?
Yeah, I was talking to one of my roommates yesterday, and I was like, oh, I have to wake up early tomorrow morning, I have to work out with ROTC, this is going to be really rough. And you put it in really good perspective. He was saying how, you might be going one day, but they're doing it every single day during the week, and they're doing it for the entire year.
I bet it must be tough sometimes to be in a college environment. Most people are asleep after Thursday night activities. It's college. How does that feel?
At the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. And all these cadets, they have a bigger goal to work for. So that's what we're here for. We're not here to stay up late and go out. We're here to get good grades and do well in ROTC. So just got to keep that in mind.
Hi, my name is Joey, and I watched the UW men's basketball team beat Mount St. Mary's 100-67. Here are the highlights from the game.
Hey, I'm Charles.
And I'm Anthony.
And we got to meet the real-life inspiration and writers from the new play Come From Away, held at the Seattle Rep.
Come From Away tells the story of Gander, Newfoundland, that dealt with the influx of diverted flights after September 11th.
So check it out.
In light of the recent terrorist attacks around the globe, we're reminded how easy it is to fixate on how much people can hurt one another. But after every traumatic situation, communities come together to lift up those affected, proving that humans are always willing to help when the situation seems most dire. The Seattle Repertory Theatre is telling one of those stories by putting on Come From Away, a play written by Irene Sankoff and David Hine. The play is centered around Gander, a small town of 8,000 residents in Newfoundland that on September 11, 2001, received nearly 7,000 passengers from dozens of flights diverted from the United States. The townsfolk did everything to accommodate the weary travelers, from providing free medical care to housing strangers in their homes. For 3 days, Gander's residents fed, sheltered, and cared for whom they affectionately call the plain people. For some of those travelers, the city of Gander had such a huge impact that they came back every year for the anniversary. Come From Away commemorates some of the individual stories that highlight the human spirit, like Beverly Bass, the first female captain for American Airlines, or Nick and Diane Marson, who fell in love after being stranded together in Gander. On Saturday at the Museum of Flight, the writers of Come From Away gave a special presentation about the play, and we got to meet the people who inspired the characters, like the Marsons.
You see in the show, we went for a walk, that's very true. You see in the show where I said I don't want to go back, that's very, very true. You see in the show where we get screeched in, and I bought Diane 2 beers, and I did buy her 2 more beers.
Okay, that'll do it.
And the infamous kiss happened on a school bus going to the airport. And the fact was, Diane was upset. We were all upset. We were leaving, and it was an upsetting time. And so I went to
crying. We were crying.
And I went to give her a kiss on her forehead, and she just grabbed a hold of me and made some excuse like she thought the bus jiggled, but I don't know.
Beverly Bass.
I believe it's the story that needed to be told for the world to know what Gander did for all of us during those 5 days. And every time I flew a trip after 9/11, of course, all the crews knew that I had been stuck there, and they all wanted to hear the story. So, I mean, I became exhausted telling the story on every single trip. So I just feel like Gander is finally getting the respect that they so rightly deserve after doing what they did for us, although they would never expect that at all.
Come From Away will be playing at the Seattle Repertory Theatre until December 13th.
Today, Alibaba Group opened the gates to its Hangzhou headquarters for both the Washington and Texas teams. While both groups got tours of the facilities and private practice sessions in the campus gym, the real purpose of today's visit was education.
We had announced that we were going to play the first regular season game 18 months ago, and we were thinking about who would be the ideal partners for the event, and this was shortly after their IPO in the US, and our team came to me and said, I think we got the ideal partner for this event. You know, a company now very focused on the US and globalization, but one of the leaders in technology and commerce in China that shares passion for education, the role sports can play as part of that. And as we started discussing with them, we realized we had a lot of shared values and ambitions for what this game and the related tour could represent, and it's been a tremendous partnership.
Jack Ma, CEO of the company, stressed the importance of cultural immersion and exposure for the personal growth of students both in China and the United States. Ma, who himself earned a degree in teaching before creating Alibaba, has even designed the campus to reflect the environment of a university, with employees riding bikes between buildings and all.
I'm very excited when you bring the young people here to the wonderful sports here, and I want to continue to work with you and to making sure this sports and this relationship, this friendship can continue. China is going to be important to the States in the USA, and the USA is going to be important to China.
For the Pac-12, this week's season opener is much more than just a game. The hope is that the Globalization Initiative will expose student athletes to the world around them and expose other parts of the world to these college sports. And today's visit to Alibaba was all a part of making that hope a reality.
The concept that you can get an academic experience and an education at one of the best universities in the world, like the University of Washington, and still compete at an elite level athletically and do both of those things together at the same time is a very unique American aspect.
I'm Olivia Fuller, The Daily.
Well, that's all the content we have for you this week.
Thanks so much for watching this week's episode of The Daily's Double Shot. We only have one episode left this quarter.
And it airs on December 12th, so keep your eyes peeled and stay tuned.